The Georgia Trust for Historic Preservation has saved over 50 historic buildings through its Revolving Fund Endangered Properties program. The Revolving Fund program provides effective alternatives to demolition and neglect of architecturally and historically significant properties, such as this craftsman-style house in Atlanta's Mosley Park neighborhood. The home stood vacant for many years before the Georgia Trust purchased the property in 2018. Following a comprehensive restoration, the Trust sold the house in 2020, ensuring its preservation forever. How did this project happen? The Georgia Trust's time-tested strategy of purchase, sale, and perpetual protection through a historic preservation easement. Here's how the process works. The Georgia Trust Revolving Fund Committee and staff identify a historic building which is in danger of demolition and then negotiate the purchase of the building from its owner. Next, the Georgia Trust markets the structure in its online and print publications. Once the Trust finds an appropriate buyer, it develops a plan for the building's rehabilitation as part of a comprehensive historic preservation easement, which is attached to the deed when the Trust sells the property to the buyer. The easement is a binding contract that provides for the permanent protection of the property. The money from the sale of the property goes back into the revolving fund, where it's used to buy, restore, sell, and save more endangered properties across the state.
This house we purchased in October of 2020, and it has been fully restored to its former glory. We're so grateful. It's got a lot of fun little features, and it's actually our first home that we've purchased together.
I think it was built in 1927. It's such a cool thing to be able to move into a house like this that does have so much history. It still has that history inside. A lot of the original things were kept in it, so it's cool to be a part of that still.
The reason we were interested in the old jail initially was we bought our property in Washington, Georgia. It was an old barn, and we've turned it into a special event venue. And right across the street from it was the old jail. It just pulled us in. We were just so enamored by its architecture and its presence on the street and its history that we just became absolutely obsessed with it.
We had looked at this old jail literally for 20 years, wondering what to do. Susan gets the emails from the Trust. Early one morning, Susan yells at me, "The old jail is for sale." And by 9 o'clock in the morning, we had contacted the people at the Trust to say we're very interested, we'd like to meet. We met the next day with our overall plans, and they were very receptive and helpful and knowledgeable and supportive and all of those good things.
Let's see, the house is one of the oldest homes in Coweta County. It was built 1835 by William Tidwell, which makes it about 186 years old. It's a unique house in that it's got an old part, which we're in right now. Like a lot of the very old homes, they've mainly 4 rooms, 2 here, 2 there in the hallway, and then behind is an addition that was built after the revolving fund was purchased.
In the original house, there was no kitchen. It was built out away from the home, and there was no bathroom, so they added that on when they bought Geralds bought the home in 1992 and restored this completely and just did an amazing job. It's just a nice blend of the old and the new, and they did a really good job of keeping the integrity of the old home in the new addition.
Purchasing a property through the Revolving Fund program is a special commitment, and the Georgia Trust supports and guides new owners through the process. Through the Revolving Fund, owners commit to the restoration and maintenance of the property. Owners can choose to live in the property full-time or use it as a weekend getaway or rental. If the time comes to sell, owners can sell it just like any other property. They can be certain that all their hard work will be protected in the future, because an easement held by the Georgia Trust protects the property no matter who owns it.
Working with the Trust has been a great experience. It has been wonderful. Great people, great resources in all sorts of areas, from materials to workmen to just a lot of the aesthetic questions you have to make that technically aren't part of the historic restoration, but that you still want to end up with a building that looks great. And I think the resources at the Trust have been just fantastic.
They have.
The easement process, it was just checking around the house, really chill, and asking if there's anything that maybe we have noticed that, has been an issue or needs to change or something like that. But honestly, we haven't really had any issues, but if we do have any issues, it's as easy as just reaching out, getting it figured out like that.
The approval process for any updates we've wanted to do on the home have been really simple. We've just done some dreaming, we did some simple plans and then design ideas, and then we submitted them to the Georgia Trust to make sure that we're still celebrating the home and all that we want it to be. And so we've gotten really simple responses, gotten to dream with them about what this home could be in the future. And so we really love that process, actually. It's helpful to have.
Yeah, I was pretty anxious at first. The first year, they come out once a year, and I was thinking, somebody coming to look at the house and see what they've done, but it's just helpful. If you're gone, they don't have to come in, they just look at the easements on the outside of the house. But really, he's a resource. He said, hey, if anything we can do, no reason to be anxious about it. They're on your side. They're thankful that you're there, which is great.
And I think it helps keep us mindful of how to take care of a historic home. There's things you can do and things you can't do, and we had never lived in a historic home, so I think that has been helpful as well.
Selling your property to the Georgia Trust through the Revolving Fund also has benefits that enhance the experience. The Trust has an active network of potential buyers. The Trust is also a nonprofit, which can provide tax benefits through a donation or bargain sale. And by negotiating directly with the Trust, you pay zero commission. The Georgia Trust is always looking for unique properties that will benefit from the Revolving Fund program, and it could be just the thing your property needs. Whether it's a landmark building in your town that needs a new lease on life, or if you want to ensure that your family home is passed to new owners who will care for it as much as you do, the Revolving Fund is the program for you. The Georgia Trust for Historic Preservation is proud of the many success stories created through its Revolving Fund Endangered Properties program. Whether you're a potential buyer looking for a historic home or the owner of a historic property in need of rehabilitation, the Georgia Trust would enjoy working with you. Visit www.georgiatrust.org to explore the work of the Georgia Trust, its Revolving Fund, or to view a current list of historic properties available for purchase.